after. So it's
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
Live, preparing live, preparing live. I don't like when it says preparing live.
Okay, so it's not. Tag you in the post,
It is
right?
now streaming live. Here we go. Many were on the air. So you've got Mel, and together today we have somebody that I love. Menny Barzilay, hi there. How are you?
Hi, hi, hi.
You don't have to look at the camera, but if you do, it would be nice.
No, I was trying to share the link of the Facebook Live on my.
Okay, so this is a show, and the show has a jingle, and I did the jingle before I knew you. You're a musician. Maybe we'll upgrade it someday, but in the meantime, Nachon, you want to hear the jingle?
I really want to hear the jingle.
Not that you have much choice. The show is about you, but I get to play the jingle.
Get a chair, grab a seat, or we'll sweep you off your feet. We move, we groove, you got Mel. Ease your legs, rest a while, all you gotta do is smile. We're swell, can't you tell, you got Mel. When the show begins, you better hold on real tight, or before you know it, you'll be high as a kite. Take a break, settle down, we're the only show in town. SRO, don't you know, you got Mel. Give it up, don't think twice, we're a hurricane on ice. What the hell, give a yell, ring your bell, show and tell. Mademoiselle, give a smell, you got Mel.
You've got Mel,
That
and Mel,
was absolutely magnificent.
and uh, and Mel has the one and only Menny Barzilay. So Menny, it's wonderful to have you on the show. I'll just tell the people in the audience who don't know you that you are an enigma.
In what way?
Whatever that is, you are one. You're one of the incredibly busy people on the planet, and yet, out of thousands of friends, when people are in need, you are the one who steps forward to help.
Thank you for that.
And
Well, I love you, Mel. You know, if you need me, I'm there.
I love you too. But we have to talk about other things. It'll be boring if we talk only about love and romance. So, and also you are a person who left a senior job at Banca Polim. You were a vice president or some big shot, and you left this to set out on your own. And a few people do that, especially at your young age. But I want to start at the beginning. What is your real name? Because nobody's name is really Barzilai. Somebody changed their name.
Barzilay, my last name. It's probably Haddad, I think. I was always Barzilay,
Oh no! Don't get stuck on me.
but from Yemen, usually Barzilay means Haddad.
So one second. So you're
Yep,
Yemenite?
half Yemenite, half Polish.
Okay, that explains everything. That explains everything.
What does it explain?
Your musical
Tell
talents
me.
and your nobility. So, where did you grow
Oh,
up? Tell everybody who you are, your childhood, how you grew up. Were you a chnun? Were you a makubal? Were you
yeah, I don't think it's very hard to see that I'm a chnun, a
a
nerd,
chnun in English is a geek.
a geek, or a nerd. It depends on exactly your definition.
So, which were you, a geek or a nerd?
I'm not absolutely sure about the difference between the two. I know there was a like I once shared a brilliant cartoon. Someone took two characters from Simpsons and said, "This is the fat guy who sells comics books is a geek, and the science guy is a nerd." And I think I'm probably more of a nerd than a geek.
Okay.
If anyone accept that as an accurate description of the terms.
Okay.
I was born. I was born in Rehovot, from all places. My family was from Rehovot, grandparents from Rehovot, parents from Rehovot, and I was born there. Um, Actually, my mom was born in Elat, but at starting a young age, she moved to Rehovot. Been there till the age of 12, then moved to Yavne. Yavne. Spent 10 years in Yavne, 12 till 22, I think. After joining the army, spent 7 years in the intelligence services. At the age of 22, just after my officer's training course, I moved with my family to Tel Aviv, and since then I'm in the big city. So that's a long time now.
Okay.
I'm Tel Avivish. That's
So approximately what did you do in the army?
so. My main jobs, the thing that I've spent most of my time on was cybersecurity. My last position was being the CISO of the technological side of the intelligence services. So CISO stands for Chief Information Security Officer. I was the person in charge of making sure that nobody will hack inside our environment. Back then, it was just the beginning of cybersecurity. Everybody still talked about information security, but we started talking about cybersecurity as the world started to understand that this is an issue that we shouldn't take lightly. Fascinating time in the army. Really, really enjoyed it. Um, and then I left.
Okay, and you joined straight away Banca Polim?
Yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks after my last test at school, I joined the army. 2 weeks after I left the army, I joined Bank of Polim. So for most of my life, I didn't have a proper vacation. To be honest, till this day, I didn't have any proper vacation. I never took a month off to travel somewhere or something like that. Never in my life. And this is something that I should definitely do. But yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
I should say for our foreign viewers that Israelis usually take the rucksack after the army and they wander around the world, usually South America.
Yeah, this is true. I never did that, and I should definitely do that.
It's not too late. It's too
Would
late
you
for me,
come
but
with
not
me?
for you.
Would you
Um,
come with me? Can we travel
let's
together?
let's talk offline.
Okay, perfect. Where do you want to go? Offline. Okay, perfect.
Okay, now I have a bucket list. Okay, actually, I do. I want to go to the Rockies next year. I have a special birthday, and if my
Oh,
kids don't take me, then maybe we'll go. Have you been to the Rockies?
never.
There you go.
It's like
We would
it's
have
like
so much fun. We would have so much fun. So, and then you joined Banca Polim straight away,
yeah,
and you became an expert in cybersecurity just when people were starting to realize that this is a worldwide phenomenon and huge danger.
yeah, yeah. I was lucky enough to go into cybersecurity before it became popular. And yeah, during my time in Bank of Berlin, I saw this domain, cybersecurity domain, grow and becomes the number one priority for many companies around the world today. Cybersecurity is probably one of the most constant things that is being discussed during board meetings and management meetings. You cannot have such a meeting without anyone at least once saying cybersecurity at some point, right? So today it's a very big thing, and I'm very fortunate to be involved in such an amazing domain. Um, but definitely seeing the whole process moving from something which is like people didn't like cybersecurity, they still don't like cybersecurity, but usually cybersecurity people and information security people used to be the people that say no. Can I put this inside the computer? No. Can I click this? No. We were the no people. It was very easy because everything was dangerous. People shouldn't do things. And the cybersecurity world has transformed, and we can no longer allow ourselves to be the no guy. We need to be partners at every business activity and innovative activity out there. And now we're becoming the how you should do things. You want to do something, we have to find a solution that will allow you to do that in a secure way. And that's obviously much more responsibility, a much harder job, and a much more interesting job. And it shows how cybersecurity evolved to become a really mature world inside the IT domain.
Okay, so we both know Dov Moran, who
Mhm.
reputedly invented the disk on key.
Yeah.
How much damage did that do to the world?
Uh, Innovation always brings new threats. That's an unbreakable truth. Innovation is a two-sided coin. Every new technology creates new problems. And we see that everywhere in the cybersecurity world. Every new thing will force us to build new type of solutions. So if we talk about autonomous cars, for example, we need security for autonomous cars. Drones, security for drones. Robotics, security for that. Artificial intelligence, security for that. Smart cities, security for that. So on and so forth. Every type of technology brings new cybersecurity issues. Obviously, the disk key, the dongle key, the USB key, or however you want to call it, created new problems. Some of which was, or one of the biggest one, was the fact that people lost their USB drives, and those things are still able to store a lot of information. And it's amazing in many places, including in the army, you see that as a security measure, companies decide not to buy USB keys and instead buy portable hard drives, only because those portable hard drives are bigger and people cannot put them in their pocket. So people tend to lost them. So that's just one example on how this brilliant innovation that I think changed the world for the better also created problems for people like me that were solved sometimes in very stupid ways.
So you rose the ranks of Bank Hapoalim at a very young age. What, you were
Yeah.
vice president or something? Senior vice
You
president?
know, so the Bank of Poland doesn't have the traditional titles as high-tech companies. I was head of the IT audit department. I managed a group of, not a very large group, a group of 20-something people, but it was a very significant group. We had a lot of influence because most of my job was discussing with the board of directors and senior management of the bank and its subsidiaries. So I was sitting in those organizations, and the IT audit department is a unique group inside the bank in the sense that we were able to help the organization, to help the management steer the organization led of war. So if we said something, if we recommended to do something, it could have a lot of influence on the organization. So it was a difficult position, like a complicated position in the sense that a lot of politics, a lot of interpersonal, um, um, you have to develop your ability that on one hand to be very firm, because if you see a problem, you have to put it out there. But on the other hand, to be able to be very flexible, because again, what you're doing is telling people what they did wrong, which is not, that's not something that you want to hear all the time. So, and in order to be able to do your job, you need people to want to work with you and enjoy working with you and see how you really bring benefit to the organization. Because if you only go around the offices say, you did something wrong. You did something wrong. Nobody wants you there. And this is it. You cannot influence the organization. So it was very very interesting position, and very challenging one. And I really enjoyed that time there.
So you're mentioning now something really important, and this is maybe the discount key to your success, which is not only to have the technological skills, which I'm sure you have, but also to have the personal skills, because you're like a policeman. And Bank Hapoalim, for people who don't know, people abroad, is like the biggest Israeli bank. It's huge, and it's all online. You know, you go into how do you say sniff in English?
Stiff,
Sniff of a bank.
sniff, branch.
Yeah, you go into a branch of a bank, and there's no people there.
Yeah, everything
The
is
tellers
online.
don't exist anymore. Money doesn't
Yeah.
exist. You have, but you, along with this, you are one of the nicest people I know. So how did you develop these personal skills? Did you have some when you were a kid, some challenge you had to cope with? Are you the middle child? Explain to us why you have these wonderful personal skills.
Well, thank you. I'm a bit embarrassed by this question. I don't know how to answer
That's
it.
my job. That's my job.
Um, I think that, again, I was fortunate enough to be raised up by parents which are amazing. And um, that it's true they had a divorce, which to some extent obviously influenced me. But I think what mostly influenced me is who are my parents as human beings. My mother is amazing. My father is amazing. And like what happened to many people as they grow up, you learn how to re-admire your parents. So at the beginning, you admire them because they are your parents, and then you get older, and then you get to know them as people, and then if you're fortunate enough, you start to admire them as people, and that's something that happened to me in the past 10 years. I think
How old were you when your parents got divorced?
about I think 10 or 11.
So did you go into a role as a kind of a mediator? Was that part of it?
Yeah, I was part of it, which wasn't the nice part of it, but it's very important to remember that my mother was a kid when she brought me up. She was like at the end of 18. She was like almost 19 when she had her first child, which was me. And my father was a bit older. He was 6 years older or something like that. Um, and those two kids had to cope with this divorce process in an era which was still, it was not very, very common. It was becoming common, but it wasn't very, very common. So obviously everybody did mistakes, but just because everybody tried to maximize this situation and make the best out of it. And I have to say that both my mother and father invested a lot of time and effort in making sure that this process will not influence myself and my brother. Again, amazing. But obviously, to some extent, I was the negotiator. And that made me take the position of a parent as well. Like I was like a third parent in the process, which, again, forces you to grow up very, very fast.
So Banca Polim, and how old were you when you left?
Let me think about it. Probably 34.
So you
30.
have this wonderful steady job. You're
Yeah,
influencing an entire bank,
yeah.
and you say, you know what? It's Thursday. I think I'm going to quit today.
It
What
was
happened?
it was pretty much that, and that's an interesting story, and it involves someone we both really know and I think admire. Um, Bank of Poland was amazing, and I really enjoyed my position there. And as a young manager, everything was open. I could have done a lot of other things as well, and I probably. And when I wanted to leave, I was offered with a lot of good opportunities. So it wasn't an easy decision. I really like Bank of Poland. It's an amazing place, amazing people. It wasn't very easy to decide that I want to leave, but um, one day our friend, I would say,
You, you
Yossi
can
Valdi.
you can mention him.
Yeah, no,
Right?
obviously I will mention it.
No,
I,
no, listen, Manny, Yossi Vardi is, he changed my life. He's responsible for at least 70 or 80% of the people I interview on the show, and I interview my amazing friends.
yeah,
So,
we know each other through Yossi Valdi.
yeah,
Right? Yeah, obviously.
yeah.
So Yossi Valdi is an amazing, amazing person. Seriously changed my life. And the thing is that he changes so many people's life. And he's not doing that in the sense that he sits with you, he gives you advices on what you should do. It's just being close to him. You learn so much, and it puts you in so many interesting positions. So obviously, he changed my life, and I owe him so much for it. One day he invited
So
me.
we both do.
Yeah,
I,
definitely.
I, I say that Yossi Vardi made me unemployable.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. So one day he invited me to this amazing conference that we've both been to, which is Kinonet. Kinonet is like a gathering of, it's like a gathering of 200 of Yossi's selected few, right? So he knows like tens of thousands of people, and he only selects 200 people, invites them to Israel to a weekend where everything, it's like an unconference, but an uncamp. Everything is being organized by the participants. And I went there, um, and everyone, and he invites like different people. You can have the CEO of like a huge company one chair next to him, like a student who only like did a YouTube video, which became very, very cool. Next to this guy, like someone who just did a $2 billion exit. Next to them, like a musician who writes music on lifts, and this is what they do. So the only thing that will connect all of them is that Yossi thinks they are interesting. And I went there, and he invited me after several people heard my talk and told him that was a cool talk. And he said, okay, he marks people. He said, okay, this guy. And I'm going and I'm working there and I meet so many, like it's amazing how amazing the people were. And I asked him, well, as a person, what do you do? And he says, yeah, I just built this company. We did like exit, and like the president of the United States just called me a few minutes ago to ask a favor. And then I wanted to go to another person, and he said, yeah, I'm building my third company and we're doing this and this and this and this. And every time someone asks me, what do you do? And I say, I work for Bank of Pauline, and they look at me like, okay, what are you doing here? And the number one question that I received were, what are you sponsoring this event? Or nobody understood why this Bank of Pauline kid is there. And after this event ended, I went to Yossi Valdi. I told him, A, thank you so much for inviting me. B, I'm going to quit my job. And Yossi didn't believe me. He didn't believe me that I'm going to quit my job. 2 weeks later, something like that, I met him by chance on the street. He was on his way to a company that he invested in, just in offices near where I was working. Just by accident, I met him on the street and I told him I notified everyone that I'm leaving. And he did, and was amazed by that. And he took me to this meeting. He says, come with me, let's go to the meeting. And we went to the meeting because he's like that. He's a cool guy. And this is it. And since then, I'm unemployable like you, I guess.
But you're very busy, unemployable.
Yeah, I'm very busy. I'm doing a lot of things today.
So what are you doing these days?
So
before the corona, you were traveling all over the world, speaking at conferences.
Yeah, you know, before the corona, I was traveling. I think I visited between 15 to 25 countries every year. Yeah, giving talks around the world. I was sometimes traveling, and I was amazing. I was traveling so often, and my assistant took care of everything. I was going on a plane without knowing where I'm going, like in the sense of I didn't know to which country I'm going because I had the flight number. I was so busy. I was just landed like 3 days ago. I went to the airport, went on the plane, and only then I started like opening the information to see what's going on and who am I going to meet and why. And she did an amazing job. Because of that, I didn't need to pay any attention to that. And suddenly nothing, like I don't remember how a plane looks like. And that's amazing because it's going to take a lot of time, even after the coronavirus after we will find a cure for it or a vaccine for it, we will still not have those huge conferences for several years now. Some of it moved to online. So just to put this under the right title, you asked what I do. And you said that one of the things that I do, I give a lot of talks. And this is true. This is one of my silos. And I give a lot of talks in and outside of Israel, mostly on cybersecurity, on our artificial intelligence, privacy, and innovation. And that was a very big part of my life. It was something which was also in charge of a big portion of my income. And suddenly it stopped. Again, I was lucky enough to have other things that I do. So everything is okay, but it suddenly stopped. And I moved to giving talks online, not because I wanted, because that was what people asked. And when I started, I wasn't very good. There's something on the stage that works very good for me. I move, I dance, I run, I scream, I jump, I ask people questions, I engage with them. And suddenly when I had to talk to a camera, not having people's reaction, there was a learning curve. But now, I'm starting to enjoy giving those online talks. And I started to learn the tricks, how to make it work. And I start to see from the feedback that I get that there's something very good on those online talks, which
So
allows
many share a tip or two, because this is what I'm doing these days.
okay.
Is
So
helping people give themselves better over the internet.
perfect. So that's okay. So
The
some
English
tips.
isn't very good. Helping people give themselves better over the internet. I've been in Israel too long, but they know what I mean.
Yeah.
So help people give themselves better
Help people to
over the
give
internet.
themselves help over being good at something that they should contribute to themselves to be very good at it. Yeah. So some tips, some of the things that I've learned. Number one is very, very obvious, the technicalities. You should definitely have a good camera and a good microphone. Now, I cannot show you the camera because that requires, I need probably a mirror to be able to show you the camera, but I'm using Logitech Brio, which is an amazing, amazing camera. It costs about $200, which is a huge upgrade compared to my built-in camera, which was on my laptop that I thought was good enough, but it was definitely not good enough. I bought a microphone. This one you can see. This is a gaming microphone, HyperX. There are other great microphones as well. I just looked on YouTube. I always, before I buy something, go on YouTube, see comparisons. This is a great microphone. Costs about, I think, $150, something like that, maybe less. And what I love about this microphone is that it has this mute button. So if I click it, you can hear me. You can hear me, which is great
Oh,
because
I have to do a toggle. Hear me.
oh, so yeah, the toggle is I don't know if
And
you know that.
mine doesn't go red and pink like yours.
Yeah. So I don't know if you know that, but
On the other hand, I borrowed this, so I'm okay.
okay, but when you turn off the microphone right now and turn it on, there is a huge like puck puck. We hear that. I don't know. Did you hear me mute my like? Did you hear the click from muting the?
No, but that's because you spent $200 and I didn't spend the pennies.
So this is great because it gives you a very clear visual representation, visual indication of whether the microphone works or not. Another very important aspect is lighting, the light, having good light. So it depends on what kind of talk I give and what I do. I have different solutions for light. Eventually, let me just go and bring it so you would see.
Okay, I'm going to sing now while Menny goes and brings something. Lavender blue, dilly dilly, lavender green.
So this I built this one. I don't know if you see it. Yeah. So this is like a shelf with two regular lamps, which do I have professional light. This does a better job. And
okay, so let me give you some advice from Chagai Cohen.
Yeah.
Chagai Cohen says always shine the lights on the wall, not on your face. Like your one second, your face is lit up on one side. So anyway, let's not talk about the technical issues because you're a technological person. From a human being point of view,
yeah,
how do you manage to expose, to engage your manyness over the internet?
So I started giving talks without presentations because I thought it doesn't work well where you see the presenter in small picture and the presentation itself very, very big. And that proved to be a wrong decision because the presentation does have an important aspect and it contributes to the talk. So now I give presentations. This is a lesson I learned. And as you know, in my talks, I usually, in like a 10-minute talk, I might have 60 or 70 slides, right? And in 1 hour talk, I probably will have 300 to 400 slides. And I can move between slides. Sometimes in one sentence, I can have 3 or 4 slides. And that's also works very, very well. That keeps people, because if there is like a huge presentation and you have this one slide for 15 minutes and they only see the speaker like in a very small square, it makes no sense, right? So everything moves. That makes a lot of that helps a lot. I decided not to use movies, and that also proved itself to be a wrong decision because now Zoom supports movies in a good way if you know how to hack it, if you know how to use the options for movies, but you need to turn it off and on if you want to have um, if you want to have never mind. Do you know to use Zoom effectively? And if you want to keep engaged, if you want to keep people engaged, you have to turn it on and off. But the most important point is that I ask questions and I ask people to answer via chat. And during my presentation, I address those questions and I start by acknowledging the name of the person who wrote the question. So I said, thank you, Mel, for asking that. I want to talk about that for a second, and then I address that. And I keep on asking people to do that. And right now I work, you told me not to be too technical, but I'm sorry, this is who I am. I work on a solution which will allow me to integrate WhatsApp questions into my presentation. That means I will go into a slide. It will automatically send a WhatsApp question to everyone in the talk. People will reply, and then we will see the results on the next slide. So this is what I'm working on right now.
Wow, have you done that yet?
No, working on it, working on it. I'm in the research
That's
phase.
going to be great. I want
Yeah,
to
it's
be an
a
early
very difficult
adopter.
thing to do. Sorry?
I want to be an early adopter.
Okay,
So
perfect.
I'm just going to give you one tip.
Yes, please.
So using the chat on Zoom is very good, but can take your mind off the ball. So what I do if I don't have a teaching assistant is I nominate somebody in the audience, whom I thank profusely, to be my volunteer for the talk and follow the chat. And then he or she is the person who can stop me in the middle and ask me. Because if you're talking to a big audience and people start unmuting, you can get into trouble. Um, so I'm now teaching 200 students with one teaching assistant she follows the chat. And she's the only one who can stop me in the middle. So I guess this is before we move on to titles and music, is I guess I don't think that we're ever going to go back to the way we were. There's always going to be now this two-dimensional, three-dimensional meetings, people not coming physically to a meeting. Maybe some will come, some won't. What is your take on this? You know, this technology existed for 20 years,
Yeah.
but we never, even people like us, didn't use it very much.
Yeah.
And now it's become like second nature.
Yeah. I'm not one of those who thinks that we will not go back. It's true that the world has changed forever. Some things will never be the same again. This is true. But we saw that again and again and again. People have the ability to go back to normal very, very, very fast. You know, we adopt very, very fast. You know, the moment we started walking with those masks, people started doing that very, very fast. It's true that we had problem with some people, but the very, very fast. Um, I just had a conversation yesterday with someone who is an actor in like in theater, um, and he said that like movie theaters are dead. And I didn't agree with him. I think that people will go to watch movies on movie theaters very,
I,
very soon.
I think that movie theaters are dead, not dead, but I think that conferences are going to have to change many.
Yeah, I agree.
And
But
I say that with much pain,
yeah,
because there's conferences you really want to go to, but you won't be able to. But you know, at a click of a button, you'll be able to be there, and also to invite speakers.
yeah,
So anyway, I want to leave some time now for music. So you're also a musician.
yeah, yeah. You can see. I don't know if you can see my like keyboard and like the guitars behind me and so on.
I'm
And
not,
so
I'm
forth.
not that different, you know.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
Um, so how do you manage your musical career?
The simple answer is that I don't. As like a famous musician, I failed. I'm not famous. If my goal is to become famous musician, that's I failed in that. My two greatest achievements in music is number one, I'm on IMDb, and I didn't add myself, which is an amazing thing to have, because I wrote music for this documentary, is Israeli documentary, who gained some success outside of Israel, and it was added to IMDb, and obviously my name was added as a composer to this movie. And my huge achievement is that my song was used as a background music for Ligat Alufot בכדוריד, like the um, volleyball winners league in the Israeli sport channel, in the promotion ads. So it's on YouTube. You can just Google it.
I
Menny
want I
Barzilay
want you to play a few bars,
on my piano right now.
either that or on your window.
Like you want me to show the.
No,
So what do you want me to do
I want you to play a few bars on your piano.
on this piano
Yeah,
right now?
yeah. Does it work, the
What?
piano?
It would work. It's a great piano.
Okay. Is it
What
the
do you, what do
piano
you
that
want?
I know?
Do you want me to play a song that I wrote especially for you?
Sure.
I love you, Mel. I love you, Mel. I love you, Mel. What do you think about this song?
Many, there aren't many who I love as much as I love you. Many, there aren't many, there aren't many who make me feel like you do.
Perfect. So yeah, that was someone should hire us
Somebody
to
should
write
hire us. Yes.
musicals. To write
At,
musicals, yeah.
at least you. Okay, so this has been wonderful. I want to talk now for a few minutes about the Beatles.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
So talk about the Beatles.
I used to play with the Beatles. I mean, not exactly play with them at the same time. With not exactly at the same time. I once listened to their song, which was nice. No, I love the Beatles. Obviously, Abbey Road was probably one of the best CDs ever created. But what exactly do you want me to say about the Beatles?
What is your best favorite song?
So probably, oh darling, oh darling, dee 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 dee. Yeah.
I've never let you alone.
Yeah, exactly. So this song. Do you want me to sing it? I don't know what does
Yes.
that mean. So
Yes,
no,
yes,
I'm not singing.
yes, I want you to sing it, of course.
No, so they did a better job at that. So I will leave it to them.
Manny, is there anything that I haven't asked you?
Um, no, there's so many things that we didn't talk about as friends because we didn't meet each other for a while. But we will do that offline, and we will talk about our upcoming trip to the United States.
Actually, to Canada. I want to
To
go to
Canada.
Canadian.
Oh, where
Yeah,
did you talk about? Was that
it's a big embarrassment because I'm Canadian
okay?
and I've never been to the Rockies. It's like Israelis
Oh,
who've never been to Eilat.
okay.
Have you
Yeah.
ever been to the Canadian Rockies?
No, never been to Canada at all.
What?
Yeah,
Oh, Canada. We have what to talk about.
definitely.
So, Menny Barzilay, it was wonderful hosting you on You've Got Mel.
Thank you.
And I hope that very soon there will be a time when we can hug and sing and meet amazing people, get together with our Yossi Vardi,
Yeah,
and renew our previous wonderful way of life.
indeed. My friend, thank you so much for inviting me. You are amazing. I admire you. You know that. And whenever you need me, I'm there.
No, that's the truth. And I do need you, and you are always there when you are needed. So, Manny, this was remarkable. As they say in Hebrew, al tishtaneh, Tamit tisher kamo shata, which in English translates as get a haircut.
I just did yesterday. Bye bye.
Love
Love
you, my
you.
friend.
Bye bye.